Join me as I dive deep into the chilling evidence and see if I can figure out if this is really the mark of a killer. What if I told you that there's a certain trait or sign that could indicate someone has the potential to be a killer? It's a topic that's both fascinating and terrifying, and it's something that we've all wondered about at some point. Can we really identify the warning signs of a killer, or are they always hiding in plain sight? Identifying potential killers is an incredibly complex task. We're talking about people who often appear normal, even charming, until they commit a heinous crime. The problem is, many of the signs we're looking for can be subtle, and they're often masked by a person's charisma or good looks. Failing to recognize these signs can have devastating consequences, not just for the victims, but for society as a whole. The societal implications are huge. Think about it. If we could identify potential killers before they strike, we could potentially save lives. But it's not just about identifying the killers themselves. It's also about understanding what drives them to commit such atrocities. By studying their behavior, their backgrounds, and their psychological profiles, we might be able to prevent future crimes. But it's not just about the killers themselves. It's also about the people around them. What about their friends, family members, and colleagues? Could they have missed the signs? Or did they simply not know what to look for? These are all questions that we need to explore if we're going to make any progress in this area. So what do we know about the people who commit these crimes? Research has shown that many killers share certain traits, such as a lack of empathy, impulsivity, and a tendency to manipulate others. But are these traits enough to identify a killer, or are they just a few red flags in a complex web of warning signs? Historical cases have given us some insight into the minds of killers. Take, for example, the case of Ted Bundy, who confessed to over 30 murders during the 1970s. On the surface, he seemed like a normal guy. He was good-looking, charming, and he even worked as a counselor at a crisis hotline. But beneath the surface, he was a calculating and ruthless killer. Experts have also weighed in on the topic, offering their insights into the psychological profiles of killers. According to Dr. James Fallon, a neuroscientist who has studied the brains of killers, there are certain characteristics that are common among those who commit violent crimes. These include a lack of empathy, a tendency to be impulsive, and a history of childhood trauma. But here's the thing. These traits don't necessarily mean that someone is a killer. Many people have these characteristics without ever committing a crime. So, what's the tipping point? What pushes someone from being a person with a few red flags to a full-blown killer? As it turns out, there's a surprising connection between childhood trauma and violent behavior. Studies have shown that many killers have experienced trauma in their past, such as physical or emotional abuse. This trauma can shape their worldview and contribute to their lack of empathy. Let's take a closer look at the case of Gary Gilmore, who was executed in 1977 for murdering a gas station attendant. His childhood was marked by abuse and neglect, and he had a history of violent behavior before he committed the crime that would ultimately lead to his execution. Experts say that this connection between trauma and violence is not a coincidence. In fact, it's a key factor in understanding what drives people to commit violent crimes. By recognizing the signs of trauma and taking steps to address it, we might be able to prevent future crimes. So what can we take away from all of this? The main point is that identifying potential killers is a complex task, but it's not impossible. By being aware of the warning signs and taking a closer look at the psychological profiles of those who commit violent crimes, we might be able to prevent future tragedies. If you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. What do you think are the most important signs to look out for when it comes to identifying potential killers? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're interested in more content like this, be sure to check out my other video on the psychology of serial killers.